All right, so let's just say hello and check in about what is the plan for this Solidarity Summit. You want to wave, Randy? We're in setup time here in Madison, Wisconsin, and so the first hour today is to check in and do an overview of mutual aid networks and what the summit is all about. And whenever it's a good time for the Hull folks, we'll hear some reflections about their feast project, but we have plenty of time. Our meal starts in a little less than an hour here. So the theme of this Solidarity Summit, being autumn in the Northern Hemisphere, is abundant harvest. So we've encouraged people to gather locally and share a meal. So here we have a meal starting in about 55 minutes, and then we're going to have a wellness fair after that. And we're just going to want to hear what people are up to locally during your meal. So we'll wait on that for a little while. And right now, I just want to share with you what the summit is about and some of the intentions and hear from the people who are here. So let us know if you have any sound issues that we need to deal with on our end, and hopefully you will be able to hear everything fine. So I'm going to share my screen. Our version of mutual aid networks are about harnessing the power of community in taking care of one another and being creative in building community, and then being able to power an economy off of that. So we are built on do-it-ourself economic tools. We were based in time banking initially, but a lot of us have been based in a lot of different. Sorry, I'm trying to just get my thing so you can see it properly. So most of the existing mutual aid networks have been based in things like time banks or eco-villages or complementary currencies or cooperatives. And what we're aiming to do is knit the variety of these things together and just really connect as a community of communities of practice. So mutual aid has happened through time immemorial, through all kinds of natural systems. And what we want to do is reflect on those systems and take what's been working throughout human history and natural history and connect with some new thinking and some deliberate values and really create the kind of economy that we want to live in, that supports thriving life. So that is what we're about. We are a cooperative, and this Solidarity Summit, we're having them quarterly. Oh, I see, you can see. So we're having these Solidarity Summits quarterly. And they're about us coming together to learn from each other. Everyone has different strengths in their own local projects, different things that they've really worked out. So we like to share what's really worked, also share what hasn't worked, so we can learn from each other's mistakes and really build on our practice. So our cooperative as a global cooperative, so we're open for membership all around the world. You can be a member of the Humans, which is Humans United and Mutual Aid Networks, our global cooperative network. You can be a member as an individual, as a project, as an organization, and you can participate as little or as much as you like. But we're based on core principles that are drawn from time banking principles, particularly all work is valuable. But we go farther to talk about redesigning work. So again, like really valuing the work of care and creativity and community work, and powering an economy through do-it-ourselves means of doing that. Everyone deserves respect. We also have adopted cooperative principles of voluntary open membership, democratic member control, member economic participation, mutual aid among mutual aid networks, public education and grassroots learning opportunities. And then we also really build on commons governance. We want to create more sharing overall, cooperative ownership and stewardship open, accessible processes. So we're very focused on things like open source software. We'll talk a little bit about that when we start to give you updates about what has happened in other Solidarity Summits. And really building sustainability and regeneration. So we talk a lot about creating a regenerative economy that supports thriving life for the 100%. And I should be explicit that the 100% doesn't only include humans, but it does include all humans. So anyway, yes, here we are aiming to value all kinds of work, and we do that through a number of tools. And sorry, my computer's a little wonky at the moment. So I mentioned we're rooted in, a lot of us are rooted in time banks. Our local work was rooted in time banking, and that just means we exchange 1 hour of work for 1 hour of credit. Everyone's time is valued equally. We don't put a price on our time. And we've built in these other practices that we're working on building more and more. So sharing, just realizing that we don't need individual private ownership of many, many things. And then other forms of mutual credit, so we can engage our local businesses, but we also work on pooling money so we can get at some of the really thorny issues that still require different forms of national currency. And then we support each other to learn how to do projects in a peer-to-peer way. We're going to learn a lot more from Hull. We work on creating budgeting tools so we can really see how we can displace our need for working in the exploitative economy, because we're displacing our need for the money that comes from there, and building up mutual credit and sharing, etc. And then also we're doing a lot to learn about how to pool money and loan it out and give it out, and again, do some larger scale things, learning from different friends and partners who are doing, for example, scattered site cooperative housing, where you can pool money and pool ownership, and that doesn't have to mean everybody lives together. So that's another piece of mutual aid networks, is looking to take what's great about cooperative living and apply it in a variety of ways so people have the autonomy and independence they need. Not everyone feels super social all the time, or sometimes ever, and that's fine. So again, these Solidarity Summits are about coming together and learning from each other, and we've been having them quarterly for the last couple of years, ever since we did a Solidarity Sprint, where we met some of you. And this is the plan, as we build networks of real sharing, exchange, and trust, and then we build networks between them of real sharing, exchange, and trust, until we can weave together a neighborly global economy. So we have, like I said, we've had a number of Solidarity Summits. The last one was really focused on some open source tech stuff, and we can share some of the learning that we've had. Let's just hear from some of the people who are here. If you would be willing to say who you are and where you are, and just a little overview of what your local work is. And some of you have very specific spheres of work, like tech for mutual aid and things like that. So mutual aid, disaster relief, please feel free to share a bit about that stuff. We'll have more sharing again in the next hour. But this is like really some good open time to summarize our learning in terms of mutual aid and what's happened since then. So Cyril, would you be willing to start us off?
Yes, thank you, Stephanie, everybody to all. I'm not having dinner, but I tell you, bon appétit, as we say in French. So I'm from France. I'm the mother of the mutual aid platform, because my art is...
It's not working. Actually, we hear you now in Hull.
Yes.
It's working.
Very
great.
Good.
All right, great. Go ahead.
So yes, and I'm passionate to equip all the good people that want to change the world in terms of software, open source software, but really made for the people, to help them and not the opposite. And also the alt currency and the other way of organizing power and distributing wealth. And I'm for 1 year now vice president of the Human, and I'm very proud of it. And I'm active in France to do all this. And yes, maybe we will talk a bit later about what happens in the previous summit and what would happen next. Thank you, everyone.
Absolutely, we will. Anybody, do you want to introduce yourselves here? No? All right, great. Emily, would you like to go?
Sure, I am in Madison, Wisconsin. I haven't been in the mutual aid that long, but the Roscoff family got me involved. So that's what I have to say right at the moment.
Wonderful, thank you. Kurt?
I got Kurt and Sue Roscoff here.
Hello?
Hello.
We're at the park in Waukesha and just getting ourselves set up out here.
Awesome. Excited to see how it is. Yeah, do you want to share anything about your hopes and dreams for your mutual aid network there?
Want to go ahead and share? No? Well, I mean, the way I got started in this is through disability advocacy. So I see the economic gaps that are left for people with disabilities and the systemic oppression there. So I like the mutual aid network as the economic solution that it is, with the sharing economy and all of the things to help bridge the gaps that are out here, even for a county like Waukesha County, which is, noted to be affluent and effluent, and having a lot of economic resource, but yet we still have the economic divide right here in a supposedly strong economic county. So mutual aid network is needed for people with disabilities in Waukesha County, and otherwise I would say about 100,000 people of this county of 400,000.
Awesome, thank you. Kim, would you like to introduce yourself? And Sarah?
Right. So I'm an artist. I'm based in Hull, and I've been working with the Hull Time Bank and Mutual Aid Project through the summer, and we're looking at exciting ways to engage the community in both local food networks, understanding the global position, and also climate issues, starting with what's particularly pertinent to Hull, which is obviously flooding. So we're looking at, I'm looking at hopefully helping to design some exciting art projects and residencies that will help to sort of engage the communities in the criticality of those issues, but also help to empower them to make changes themselves and take ownership of the conversation. So that's me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kim, are you able to unmute and say hi? And if not, then let's hear from Tyler and Anna. Hello.
Hello. There we go. Hello. Hi, my name is Tyler. I just recently moved out here to Washington now, and I'm kind of not involved in any local projects, but I work with a group called Mutual Aid Disaster Relief, which is exactly what it sounds like. And we've had a lot of our crews of people coordinating to help locals clean up after Hurricane Ida in New Orleans and in the Bayou and other parts of Louisiana. There are folks in our network who are distributing masks and other supplies around the areas where there's a lot of smoke from the wildfires. And generally, we also get together on a regular basis and just sort of share resources and you know, make plans for how we can be better prepared to deal with the various, you know, crises that are coming down the road, and be better connected. So that's why I'm interested in mutual aid.
My name is Anna. I use she, her, they pronouns. I was involved for a long time in this project called Symbiosis, which some of you are familiar with. Also been involved in various local like solidarity economy and mutual aid groups. And I'm currently on a fabulous sabbatical from organizing, which has been extremely cleansing. So unaffiliated at present.
Good to be here with all of you.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you both. So would you like to say hello from here in Madison, Wisconsin?
I think our mic is picking up well. I'm Tim. So I've been connected up to the mutual aid network here in Madison for a couple of years now, and I'm really excited to be part of this very regular equinox and solstice rhythm that we've got going, and this particular harvest season. I had the opportunity, it gave me the opportunity to go and do some harvesting with some people and brought that stuff here, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with a number of folks who are going to join us. So, hi everybody.
Hi, my name's Randy. I'm somewhat of a newcomer to Mutual Aid Network, but I'm profoundly impressed with the idea of equal valuing of work across different types of work, because it's so skewed right now in the idea of people helping each other. Right now I'm currently involved in two projects. One is called Save the Farm, that's attempting to avoid having a 62-acre farm in the middle of Madison, trying to avoid it becoming just another subdivision and instead become an affordable housing, urban agriculture, and conservation greenway area. And we're struggling to pull that together, get the community behind it. The second thing I've just gotten involved in is trying to re-energize a movement in the community to stop the deployment of F-35 jets, fighter jets, into Madison, Wisconsin. Right now it's basically been decided that it's going to happen here, but we consider it just a classic abomination and a perfect focal point for the community to come together and say, no, this is so wrong on so many different levels that we in Madison are going to unite in a profound way to make that happen. So I'm actively involved in that right now.
Awesome. During the meal conversation, it'll be really great to hear about some of the dreams for Voigt Farm and some of the things that have been floated for like partnerships. Yeah, Lisa.
I'm gonna get up. Hey y'all, I'm Lisa. I'm here in Madison. I've been part of the Mutual Aid Network for a few years now, and for me it's sort of three fronts. One is working with the governance of Mutual Aid Network here to work on policy and process and admin, all of which has been a fascinating process to build and create. The other is a gardening project, Everywhere Everybody Gardens, with the lovely folks you see here, trying to create community gardens and build networks of community gardens among different population of previously unhoused folks and different communities. And the other project is called 608 Arts. We manage the art gallery here in the social justice building where the Mutual Aid Network is housed. We also believe in art as community outreach, a touchstone for community to just come and get together and create and have conversations while you're doing art projects and just make everybody an artist. So all those things work really well together. They sound odd, but they actually go really well together. So nice seeing y'all.
I bet no one doubts that. Who's here? I think a lot of people are working on a variety of those things, and especially in Hull. Are you ready to just say hi and say what you're doing over there? Let's see. All right, Hull sound is not on. So let's go in a little bit more. Sorry, I'm going to try to get these letters off my screen. Let's go in a little bit more to some of the updates from summits to see what some of the fruits are from our previous summits. All right, I can't do that. So one of the things that we're doing here, for example, is we are having wellness fair after our meal, because one thing that's come up a lot at our summits is just more need for people to take care of themselves. Anna, hearing about your glorious sabbatical, that's right along the lines of the theme of this summit. Part of what we decided to do is really take it easy and make it easy on ourselves to organize and do this. And if anyone was like feeling like it was stressful to organize a meal, to just encourage them not to and to just like join in lightly. So that's a thing that we've learned and that we've talked about at other summits. And then does anybody want to throw in while we have the mic? And I'd like to ask Sibyl to talk more about some of the tech stuff in a moment, but want to throw in any of the learning that you've had from summits or development that you've seen?
I guess I've just been really impressed with the idea of the international connection between things, just enabling us to recognize that this movement is worldwide. It just is a good feeling to know that, you know, these attitudes are shared throughout the world. So
I agree. That's one of the things that has really nourished me during such really bizarre and difficult times. So yeah, just staying in touch with the other people doing stuff and just seeing how impressive the work is. Like there's so much sophisticated work out there. So Sibyl, I would love to turn it over to you for a few minutes. When you introduced yourself, you mentioned that you were the designer of the mutual aid platform, and that's the project sharing software that we use. And you've been hosting some really great cooperative, collaborative conversations about how to move forward. Do you want to let us know what's been happening?
Yes, thank you. So I make some observation years ago that we are very with good motivation, but not very well equipped in terms of software and very dispersed in many software. And many times we are the product when we use free software that are not free because we became the product. And it doesn't really serve our wish, and it doesn't empower us. So because I was a software engineer in the business world a long time ago, and after I made some thesis about cooperation, what are the favorable competition, condition for for people, what make people will to cooperate. So I've years ago I've decided after trying to persuade some good people that have already some piece of the software that we need to hack an enterprise software, an ERP, enterprise resource planning, named Odoo, that is made in Belgium but used everywhere in the world, to make it more horizontal and to accept multiple currency. So for instance, in the MAPS, a mutual aid platform, there is a marketplace where everybody can put offers and wants, and as a time bank marketplace or Let's, And the new thing that still doesn't exist, unfortunately, it's that you can negotiate with many currency, meaning you can pay a part of the deal in dollar, a part in time bank, and maybe a part just in thank you. And then it helps to exchange, because the more important is to make the needs and the resources to match. And it's not about what money we will use, but really to satisfy the needs. And I think we are all there for this. And by giving possibility to make the exchange with many currencies, we have observed that it helps to make the exchange. And it also a way to acknowledge all the volunteers' works that maybe will not receive hard money, but they still need acknowledgement and visibility. So just by in the project management of the map, by filling your task, then your work is acknowledged, and maybe one day you can receive some internal currency, or maybe when we receive hard currency from some bids, we can then see who have really participate and contribute, and then decide to distribute to this one. Of course, the software doesn't decide anything. This is very important. It doesn't spy anything. It's really the opposite of the existing business software. It's on the human side that the decision is made, and then the software will apply what the humans are deciding. And yes, this year, because this software is quite good, but not enough and not easy to use. And for the one who are not very at ease with software, because it's very business look. So I was willing to make something more easy and even more integrated, and that we can get rid of Zoom as we use now, and Google and Facebook and accounting and payroll and all the, and even how do you say, warehouse or grocery, co-op grocery, you know, the point of sale and everything. And because no one can do this alone, because we have not the power and the money of one like Google, and we don't want to actually. So as the mutual aid has in his name, I think it's with pooling our little resources and pooling our big needs that we can make it happen. And so in May and June, I've organized a journey with 3 communities, one in so the mutual aid network, one in France that is starting and want to make some halt to Amazon, and one more from Slovenia, but not really based in Slovenia, and to see what are the common needs, and to see how we can, and to understand, because many geeks came to explain us all the possible technology and architecture, and to understand what is the best for now, for the current needs, but some current needs that will not put us in a non-issue way. So even if we don't want the perfect thing, because it's not possible, but we want to that it will be evolutive and inclusive, so that it will not take us in a no-end way. And from these journeys, another community came, and many geeks, and I think it was very fruitful. And then for now, we have decided to test some very good software that is very user-friendly and based on the human. And the name is Communector. It's made from some French guy from the island of the Réunion. This is an island very innovative. The name is the Gathering Island, and they really are very on the edge of all the cooperation spirit, maybe from the name of the island, I don't know. And so we are in testing, and then this software should be like the skeleton, and we will plug any software that we want, like all the Google-like Nextcloud app, collaborative documentation, shared calendar, mailing list, all this. And but then we need some. It's always the same a bit, because software needs a lot of knowledge and some dedication from some people. So we are willing to find some money to help people to be more dedicated to spend time. And then you are really welcome to come to be a simple user, because we need also, like we say, simple user to be sure we are not doing something awful and not user friendly, and because we are really user centric. And also, if you have some skills, it could be in training or in translating or even in developing and coding, and also money finding. And for now, we are still using the map, but we want to make it evolve, because it's a bit too complicated and too in his DNA, it's a bit too complex software that it's difficult to maintain and very costly. So we want something more flexible. And the Communicator team has really gather a lot of collective of intelligence about cooperation for 10 years. So it's already a cooperation around this software. So if we gather together, I think we can go further. Because I see one of the main thing that we need is really to see the needs and see the resources, because I know that everywhere, and in France also, the economical scarcity is coming. And then we need to help each other to see our neighbors and to see to understand, to see their needs, to see their resources. And then we will always find a way to exchange even without any money. And also, yes, about organizing ourselves and sharing. What I love in the mutual aid network, that we are not doing things alone, and we are not every day reinventing the wheel, but we are sharing our experiences, our errors, and our winnings, and then it can help others to move forward and to be maybe make it a bit quicker than the first that we have experienced it, because I think the emergency is there, and we don't have many times to do everything from our own and to reinvent the wheel every time. So I think we should really gather all what we have experienced and dare to share also our mistake, to avoid the other, if possible, to make the same mistakes. I think it's okay. Yes, Stephanie.
Beautifully stated. And it made me think of, again, the point of the Solidarity Summits is it's that keeping in touch with each other in whatever ways we can is the thing, and learning from each other and not waiting for the perfect software. And I'll just say again, like, as we've been testing these other softwares, we've come back to the map each time, the mutual aid platform, because it does all the things we need. It's just not kept up. So we would like the next generation of things that express that. But also I've realized that I'm going to start doing a regular orientation on the map, because those who are willing to work with it, even though it's not like as slick and user friendly as other newer software that you're using, like if you're willing to hang with it a little bit, it really helps our local organizing work. So I'm going to invite people to, we're setting up another tech meetup. So actually, if you're interested in joining up with our tech team as a user, as a learner in coding, as a coder, any variety of skills, if you're interested in participating, why don't you just put that in the chat? We'd be happy to include you, and Tim is actually now in process of setting up our next meetup to take our steps forward.
I would add, Stephanie, that the one who are willing to learn Odoo, they will have a lot of paid job after, because it's really a skill that is wanted everywhere in the world. So all the one from the South America and Africa, it's really a good software that can be sold to enterprise. So by learning with us, you can after make your job, your paid job also.
You know, and that's actually another thing. I mean, so it's just another example of how we're aiming to knit things together. So our local mutual aid network still has a little bit of money left in a grant that is set aside to train people. To train people to do some coding and do some like basic software stuff and other stuff, carpentry, caregiving. It's really up to the local group, but we have some money to get people trained. And then what the vision is in our model is that people give back to their community and work for human hours or, you know, for free in their community, and then they can go out and earn a lot of money from people who have a lot of money. And then they might share some of that back with their community too in the form of a common fund. So I just like to make these specific things explicit because I think it's time for us to like see the examples and then do them. Because there are a lot of like different little ways we can do this sort of voluntary wealth redistribution, and we have to start playing with it. So I would love to, Kate, do you feel ready? I think that your sound is working and stuff. Would you like to share with us a bit about your project and whatever order it goes in? Like if you want to share a little bit now and more later, that's fine, but however you'd like to.
Let me just, can you hear? Can you hear
us? Yeah.
I'll just go around with that microphone. If you have gathered, we had incredibly horrendous technical issues there and we couldn't hear you at all, but we finally managed it. And it was in the middle of our meal as well. So I guess just to begin with, because we were going to we've got some slides and things that we can share with you, but I'm just wondering, maybe we could just go around the room and people could say how they've been involved. Well, I'm thinking there's two people here that were involved with the time bank right at the beginning. Hillary, when we were doing the time bank kitchen. I don't know if you want to say anything about any memories of that. But it's still here. Yeah, she's still here. And Hillary's the chair of our whole food partnership now. So that's really looking at sustainable food. Do you want to, I think, just say something because I just talk too much and then I'm not sure I can. Just really quick.
All right, bring you to the elevator pitch. Hello everyone, it's nice to be here. I think I can't see the inside, but I know you're there. Hello. I've been a foodie all my life, but I was lucky to set up a food thing in Hull way back when, and it's morphed into a sustainable food or a sustainable food place. That's the theory. It's part of a national network in the UK, and linking with other urban sustainable food projects and ideas around growing and sustainability and better food for everybody, and food justice rather than the injustice that's crept into the systems, and how we buy our food. As a food scientist, how we buy our food has changed radically in the last 40 to 50 years. And actually, I think it's going to take 40 or 50 years to change back, but we have to try somewhere, and we have to start, each and every one of us has to start somewhere. So it's a real pleasure to be here and to meet you all again. And Kate and I go back a long time too, because she was part of our initial Food for Hull steering group, as I seem to recall, Kate. But yeah, and we were baking away on a Tuesday afternoon. And then the festival, and all that celery that came in from the allotments with all those slugs. I've never forgotten it.
Oh my goodness,
and the grit in the bottom. So, oh no, I didn't say that.
But also the time bank kitchen workshops that we did, and we did that with people in mental health services. We did it in a piece. And our workshops are they're very time banky in nature. So it's like we never start from the point that. Oh, come on. Yeah. I'm in the pot. Yeah, yes, you are. Thank you. We never start from the point that people know nothing. It's always like, you know something, so pass that on to somebody else. And oh, do I really want to put Amy on the spot here? Because Amy was one of our first chefs. She was there with our first food event where we said, well, I was at a meeting. It was a Friends of the Earth meeting, actually. And they were going, oh, we need someone to do the food at our green fair. And we don't want to do it. And I went, we'll do it. And then it was like, right, how are we going to do it? And that first outing, you were involved in that, weren't you? We did some practice dishes, and we fed 700 people that day, didn't we, on the top deck of 700, yeah, crazy. And then from there we started our time bank kitchen workshops, didn't we? And then we went into the story of the feast later there. I don't know how much detail you want now, or if you want us to get set up a bit. And I'm going to introduce you to people, and then we'll show you some videos maybe at 8 when we come back. So it's just a really quick thing. So I'm going to put Wendy on the spot.
That sounds great.
Yeah. I think it's Wendy. The lead isn't as long as the voice.
Sorry,
yeah, you can
sorry.
Hi everybody. I don't know what Kate wants me to say, but
well, you were a grower in a garden, weren't you? And you
yeah.
had that conversation that led to the feast, didn't you?
I was one of the people volunteering at Community Garden here in Hull, and basically we were having conversations about the fact that there was going to be a festival, and certain people who were employed by the organisation were actually active in the committee that was making the decisions about what the festival was going to be about and what they were going to do and so on. And I raised the question of what about the people that are doing the growing, you know, the volunteers that are coming in here that are doing the growing, can't they be involved as well? And it kind of changed things really, because then the festival was then, the committee of the festival was kind of opened up to people that were actually physically involved in doing the growing too. And that must have been about 7, 8 years ago, wasn't it?
It was 2015, and I think we came in a bit later, but then we sort of enabled it to happen, I guess, through all the networks and everything.
Yes, because we were time bank members at that time already, because I remember we were running functions, odd things at the farm that time bank were also involved in. I don't know if you remember some of those events that we did where we had our community garden at that time. But I remember going to the very first festival and working behind where the kitchen was, you know, where people were serving food and so on. And it was a fantastic experience. You know, it was a wonderful day. The weather was perfect, and people queuing up saying, do you do this every weekend? You know, I have to say no. This is a once a year thing. Come back next year. Well, people were asking about the year of culture as well, and whether we were going to be doing it for the year of culture. So that was very much in people's minds, even then in 2015.
I remember, David, you took part in that, didn't you, as a volunteer? You were a time bank member, weren't you?
Yes.
I'm putting you on the spot now about what that enabled you to do.
He's eating.
Me too.
I'm the only one that is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm
okay. Hello there. So yes, I've come through this because I love volunteering and getting involved with all the community work and working together to actually produce something as fantastic as the festival. And it just motivated me to keep coming back and helping with the cooking. And on the day when you're actually feeding people, I like to be at the front, that you see so many smiles from the people that are receiving the food. People are so happy, and they're wanting to reach into their wallets or into the purse, wanting to give money. No, this is produced by the people for the people, and people are so grateful for that. It's such a great community event to be involved with.
And it stopped you going back to China.
Okay. So I was teaching in China, and I think I wanted to come back for the Freedom Festival, and at that time I could have gone to into the Himalayas, but it was going to be waiting too long for a visa, so I decided to come back. I'd rather be involved in a community event than in Tibet. I think well, that's where I'm heading towards, but I certainly didn't regret it, and I'm still here now after 5-6 years, so yes, and hopefully there'll be many more festivals to follow on after this.
So, and you also work for us now, don't you?
Yes, I do, in another guise as well.
So I'm going on to Lucy as one of our chefs here for the feast. He's been involved in every feast, I think. Yeah, not the first one. Not the first one, no.
So I came because it's a community feeding event of using the local seasonal produce, the glut, if you like, in the city, and making really nice tasty food. And I didn't have very good knife skills, so my friend Matt came to help me the first time. And the second time we made Vietnamese spring rolls.
Oh, that was a nightmare.
That
Because
was
we're feeding
really
1,500
weird.
people.
Yeah. And then the third time I calmed down, just made salads. And I've been making salads since then. That's what I do. I like salads, and sometimes I do roast potatoes. But it's brilliant because it's using seasonal grown local food by chefs, and it could expand into lots of different ways of combating the food injustice you've mentioned, and dealing with the assumption that people who haven't got much money will just tolerate continually giving handouts rather than being enabled in some way. And maybe that's the next step to go into.
That is. Yeah. And I wonder, I mean, we can, I think maybe it would be good to get Alistair to stay, to say something. We have got some little videos that we could show you maybe in a bit, but it feels like that leads nicely onto gardens and open spaces. We've got some slides to describe it. Just a bit.
Hi, so I'm Alistair, and I've been a Time Bank member for several years. At the start of the pandemic in Britain, we at Time Bank, we all got together, and every Saturday morning we would meet up and discuss the pandemic, basically, and how we're all feeling. And out of this, we started to realise that there was considerable food insecurity along with food injustice in our city. That it wasn't easy for people to grow their own, not at all easy for lots of people to grow their own food because they didn't have any kind of space. And also that people were really enjoying going out and about and getting closer to nature when they could. So we started gardens and open spaces with the aim of lobbying our council to allow more people, more community groups to take over patches of unused or underused land in the city and turn them into either mini allotments, growing spaces, or for biodiversity and pollinators to help that process. And here we are, we have lobbied the council. Our councillors are pretty much uniformly pro our ideas. It's just actually making that happen. We do have lots of offers of spaces, don't we, Kate? But as I was saying to Hilary, the problem that we have now is getting people to, now that people are going back to work and so on, getting people to actually commit to doing that growing. So can I pass on to someone?
I was just, yeah, it is the case though, isn't it, that the council are actually also, yeah, it has actually worked to some extent because the council are actually doing things in various places around the city. And we've actually been called in by councillors to come and have a look at a space where they've put in some raised beds and they filled them up with soil, and they've said, well, there you go, there's the growing space. You know, would you like to get some volunteers to come along and start growing stuff there? And luckily there was a school nearby, so we were sort of hoping that we might be able to get the school children involved. But the really good thing is that the council are obviously changing their approach about what they're going to do when somebody identifies a piece of land that could be used to grow food for people that need it.
So that's really good. Another major success is that the council is no longer mowing everything down. So, so when community groups were able to use land to grow things, what was happening was that the council was coming along and routinely mowing it, so nothing was actually growing. We've now managed to stop them from doing that, and they have altered their entire ethos. Yes, they have. Yeah, they won't tell you so in public, but they have.
That is something of a challenge in there around community groups who think a good space is a space clear of insects and you know, like, yeah. So that's another fight, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. I don't know if you have that fight in America, but we are still trying to combat the neat and tidy brigade, we call them here.
But it's not only the council, it's other people
It's
that
other
see
people,
it and say,
yeah.
well, that's no good because that's got weeds.
Yeah. It's changing the view of what is a weed and what constitutes neat and tidy. And so on.
Yeah, it's that biodiversity emergency, isn't it, really, that we're trying to tackle as well as the growing issue.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, but lots of people who want to mow the lawns and have straight edges everywhere.
And plastic lawns.
And plastic lawns as well, yes.
Don't know if you have that over there. So this is part growing safari. I don't know. Shall I say about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so something that we're taking on 6 clinical psychology students. I can't believe it. But we were just thinking, we've been talking for the last year or so about the need of creating. What came out of the second year of the feast was the Growers Network, and so we have a really good network of community gardens and allotments and spaces across the city, and we're friendly and we. I think that's me. I'll shut that down. I don't want to come too close to the speaker. But and we know through the lockdown that many people have, like, as Alistair was saying, have like opened up to the idea of gardening, have been doing bits and pieces and are quite interested in open spaces as well, but they don't have the skills. So I mean, Wendy is one of our really skilled, she's very much in demand in terms of teaching people skills, and Anthony as well is going in that direction to be sharing those skills as well, aren't you? And they both look after our community garden here. But what we're going to get the students to do is actually create a community garden safari, and also with the local businesses as well. For example, we've got an organic grower, Gwen, who's in East Riding. She says, send them to me. So we're going to get the students to go in and talk to all the different sites and look at what their USP is. So we've got a permaculture garden, we've got a no-dig allotment, we've got, the Gwen's organic spaces, we've got the community farm, we've got Frith Farm that is, so
commercial.
So it's linking up all the businesses. Something we've always done is, like, with the feast, this was actually local food businesses as well. But something that Brexit and the pandemic is showing us that we don't grow enough food locally. We're getting empty shelves regularly. And it's not only building skills for all of us individually to grow our own food, but it's also about setting businesses up as well, which is where this space comes in, this mutual aid hub. We've got a professional kitchen here, so chefs can use part of that space for time, but also look at how we all our resources, including we've got a full field kitchen to do big, huge events. So this is all a shared resource to help people set up their businesses. And we're also looking at becoming a cooperative development agency ourselves. So that's our sort of next stage. So I feel like we've talked a load. I've got some short little films that will illustrate everything we've said. Do you want that now or in a bit? Hello, we bored you to death. Stephanie!
Have they gone away?
They didn't hear any of that.
That'd be hilarious.
Can't they gone?
Bye bye. Oh, that's so funny.
Hello.
There is somebody there.
Is anyone there?
Hello.
Hello, could you hear that?
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Oh, so I was going to say, do you want to see the videos? Or
yes, we do want to see them, but wait a few minutes, because It's 2 minutes till, so I expect that people are gonna start joining now. So we had an hour of like the welcome and overview, and then now's the time for the meal. So if we just like give people a few minutes to come on, and we can say, you know, we can kind of orient people before we show the video. That'd be cool.
Okay. So I need to share.
And I'll just show you what's going on here. We're setting up our meal, and so like different people have arrived to start coming for the meal. So we just had ours set up time. So another reflection of the global nature of this. We're in the middle of the afternoon. Yeah, so we're just like getting ready. But I know that we have the Roscoffs in Waukesha also in the same time zone, but we expect some other folks, and then Civil's in France in the evening, and we expect some folks from Vancouver who will be having their lunch. Anybody want to share? Actually, Emily, what I'm going to do, so Emily is with us, and Emily, I'm not sure if you are gonna make it to an in-person meal, but I'm gonna find your movie spreadsheets. So I'll just share again with people, this is the quarterly Solidarity Summit, and we're having a regular summit on the closest weekend to the equinox or the solstice that there is, and we just want to do it on a really regular basis, because one of the things that we've found is consistency, so people can find you and so you can keep building on ideas and work, has really served us well. So one of the things that we've started doing in the summits is having a film for each one. And Kate suggested our film for the summit. We've scheduled a viewing for 1 o'clock Central Time tomorrow. Make yourselves at home and we'll bring out more chairs. So we've scheduled a film for, it's going to be an hour earlier than right now, tomorrow. And the film is Gather, and we'll be learning more about Indigenous food sovereignty. And it's very exciting to have the opportunity to watch it and then have a conversation about it afterward. So we're looking forward to that. And then we'd like to ask you to please feel free to suggest movies for future summits. So here's a film suggestion form, and I'm going to put it in the chat. So please feel free to add your film suggestions anytime for future summits. Our next summit will be close to the December 21st. And the theme is, every summit we're having a wellness theme, and then also just looking to summarize and build on our work. So this is the time for the shared meal, this summit. It's autumn here, and so we are having a theme of abundant harvest, and just encouraging people to share a local meal and use that time to further some of your local goals. So what we'll like to do after more people have arrived and settled in is we'll go around and people can share what you're doing locally, what meal you're having, if you've designed something to meet your local goals, what that would be. So we'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to give a quick welcome to the Solidarity Summit for those who are just coming on, and overview. So this is a product of the Humans United and Mutual Aid Network's Global Cooperative Network, and the summits we're having quarterly, and the aim is to create opportunities for us to learn from each other, for us to provide moral support, for us to build our capacity to give material support to each other. So mutual aid networks are about using cooperative structures and practices in order to redesign our community life and work life to have them flow and support one another more fully, to be able to use more do-it-ourselves economic means of sharing and exchange, like straight up sharing, like time banking, time exchange, like swapping stuff, but also like mutual credit in businesses, like common funds where we pool our money and give out no interest loans or gifts to support each other, where we do actual voluntary wealth redistribution, and where we redesign our work lives so we can do the work that really makes us fully human, taking care of ourselves, our families, our communities, our planet, being creative, and also making time to enjoy our lives. So that's what we're here to do. And a number of people are having local gatherings and meals. So I'd love to pass the mic around physically and virtually, and people can just sort of show us what you're doing. And we'll just like share a little bit, and then we'll go offline and everyone can enjoy your meal as you wish. So should we start showing what our setup is about? Are you ready to do that, or would you rather be set up? Do you want to talk while you set up at all? All right, so since we have the mic, we'll just start off, and we're going to pass the mic after this. So we're here in Madison, Wisconsin. How about if we go 1, 2, 3, and everyone yell hello? 1, 2, 3. Hello! So anybody's welcome to speak up if you want to share a bit of what we're doing. So what some of our local goals were are, one, to really build our local exchange and create opportunities for people to come together through happenstance, inviting our neighbors on the block, inviting people who participated in our mutual aid network in a variety of ways. And we also invited some people to provide food. I'm going to have you all talk about our garden project, but I reached out to some friends who have started a local soup company. So they're growing food and making soup out in Spring Green, I think. It's called Soups I Did It Again. So they've provided some soup. They've donated it to us, and we're going to use the opportunity to recruit them into our mutual aid network, encourage them to take the Common Good card, which a number of us are using, which we learned about on our Solidarity Sprint. We'll happily share more info about that with you if you want to later. We also got some sourdough bread from one of our early members. So in MadisonMan.coop, you can receive rustic crumb homemade sourdough bread. You can get delivered to your house. You can pay a portion in dollars and a portion in time. And so that's part of what we're doing to build our local exchange. Do you want to share about our Everywhere Garden project?
Oh, that's neat. Okay.
And you want to point to what was grown there?
Well, we are satelliting. Last year we had everywhere. Let me do this.
Oops.
We had sunglasses. It's bright out here.
One moment. I have to change our view so you can be seen better. Okay.
Okay, so last year we had a number of beds scattered around the Social Justice Center and the Mutual Aid Network workshop where we are here today. With COVID, with a lack of volunteers, with other priorities, we lost some of those beds. We're down to one bed here, which we're maintaining as an option for anyone who walks by. We believe in true community gardens. You don't own a plot. If you want to help us garden, help us garden. If you need to harvest from the garden, harvest from the garden. No rules, nothing. We do have satellite locations, including my beds, all of which did horribly this year. I ditched out of sharing my potato harvest, which was lovely, but about a third of what I planted. So we'll try that again next year. Other satellite beds are with our guru, Tim, who has really helped us through this whole project, along with some folks who are not here yet. Casey, if you've met her before, is big in gardening. We are trying to build a liaison between Everywhere Gardens and the Occupy Madison Villages, which are tiny homes and tinier homes here because they have their own amazing garden projects going on to feed their own villages, and some of the villages there are working in growing those projects up to be self-sustaining, to be farmers market opportunities to provide income for the villages. So there's all sorts of stuff going on the periphery, but I think all the gorgeous greens down here most certainly did not come from anywhere I was associated with growing. So I'm going to leave that part to Tim, with the possible exception of the chard. The Swiss chard may have come from here.
Some of it did.
Swiss chard, yeah, we have beautiful Swiss chard in the cold frame bed that you built over here.
Yep.
You want to tell us a little more about that stuff, Tim?
So with the side of the Social Justice Center is having a not terribly great soil. There's a raised bed that we created, and in that bed, Lisa and a few other folks ended up planting a few things. The Swiss chard is a rescue from James, who's right over here.
Yay!
James ended up creating a little vertical garden last year, and some Swiss chard started growing there, and it made it all the way through the winter indoors, made it outdoors, and it's now giant and beautiful. And so some of that is cooked and in this container right here.
Beautiful.
It's got a little bit of garlic and a little bit of hot pepper in it just to give a little edge, because I understand the soup doesn't really have an edge to it, so that'll be great. And then the Occupy Grow, OM Grow they call it, Occupy Madison Grow, had some other Swiss chard. This can be eaten raw because it's so fresh and young. Feel free. There's herbs that got taken from there this morning. Sage and lime basil. The green basil here is really unique. Take a little leaf. The purple basil is also okay, but pretty intense. And then feel free, there's kale if you feel like eating kale raw. That's pretty intense, but you can do it. They're the young leaves right here. There's two kinds of kale if you want to take some home, and collards for anybody who's interested in taking collards home as well. There you go.
Awesome. Another goal that we have for our local network is to build more of a wellness network. So we decided to focus after the meal. We're going to host a wellness fair. So we have Lisa's going to be doing art making, realizing that's an essential part of health and wellness. Tim is going to be leading stuff on ergonomics. We're going to have some yoga. We are going to have a conversation about neighborhood peace building. So we're really working on building up a practice so we can have regular nonviolent communication, work, and nonviolent conflict resolution. And just there are always conflicts that come up in any community, any neighborhood. One of the Solidarity Summit themes has been recognizing that we need to get good at building unintentional communities. So we're like really aiming to get better at that right here where we live at the Social Justice Center, and create opportunities for people to come together and resolve their conflicts on their own without needing to engage police, any other kind of state authority. So again, that's what mutual aid networks are all about. And then we can build an economy that supports that. How about if that were your meaningful, gainful employment that you could help defuse neighborhood conflicts, you could do the art you want to do, you could spend time with your family and have an excellent economic quality of life. So who wants to, we're gonna land on Hull because they have like a lot of really cool stuff to share about their feasts. Who else would like to share what's going on locally? Kim, it's great to see you. Do you want to say hi and let us know what's going on where you are?
Sure. Hey, everybody. Kim Shirobi from Detroit with the Burwood House, Inc. That's the nonprofit community hub that I'm involved with, as well as the James and Grace Lee Boggs Center. And actually, I'm here by myself eating lunch. I just wanted to make sure that I connected with you all, learned more. Well, of course, we have over 2,000 gardens here in the city of Detroit. Maybe we could talk about that later, but I just wanted to say hello and just check in.
If you want to, I mean, I think that people would be inspired to hear a little bit more about the gardens in Detroit and some of the weaving that's happening there. I just got a beautiful chance to meet you in person, and there's always like so much inspiration to gain from Yeah, do you want to just share a little bit about what things look like from where you are?
Okay, a little bit more about the gardens. I do better when people ask me questions, but let me tell you a little bit about the gardens. So in Detroit, there was some years ago, at least 20 years ago, gardening started with a group called the Gardening Angels. They were a group of Southern women who came together to teach young people how to garden. And from that, some of the young people actually got involved in gardening as they got older. And one in particular got involved with an organization called Greening of Detroit, where they began to provide seedlings, a whole program around gardening, seedlings, the compost, the tools, the education to allow people to garden. Greening of Detroit with that educational program split, but that portion of the program continued, and it's now called Keep Growing Detroit. And Keep Growing Detroit, again, does all that, the support for gardeners. So a family, an individual can join the garden resource, they call it garden resource component of Keep Growing Detroit for $10. And you get a bunch of seeds and seedlings to get started. And if you're a community garden, you get even more support, again, with the compost, with the materials for raised beds if you want. And as a result, I know this has been going on at least 12 years or more. We have gardens, different sizes, from personal gardens to community gardens. As I said, about 2,000 gardens throughout the city of Detroit. And the other thing that I want to share about gardens, we don't just use gardens to garden in them, but we use gardens as a tool to build community. So you will have people having garden art in the garden, or reading to young people in the garden, just folks coming together, collaborating, being community. So a garden is more than just feeding ourselves, but we do say in order to free ourselves, we need to feed ourselves. So if there's something else you might want to know, I could answer questions, but that's an overview I would give you about the gardens, the vegetable gardens. Yeah.
That's inspirational. Ross Cops, would you like to share what your local scene is like right now? And I see our Adele's come on, so if you want to share and say hello, that's great. And meanwhile, while we wait for someone's shyness to abate or for it to become convenient, I'm just gonna invite people to feel free to get some food if we're
just missing one pot of soup, which I'm sure
Okay.
gone to get. So everything else
Yes.
is that. Help yourself.
So we're gonna eat while we chat and listen. Ardell, are you available to say hi? And if not, we'll see if Kurt and Sue. All right. So oh great, hi.
Hi. Yeah, sorry, we're just still getting ourselves gathered together here, and so not much to say.
Nice to see you. So are we. So no problem at all. Do you want to just say where you are?
Yeah, we're in British Columbia, Vancouver Island, and backyard.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful place. So right now we have, I think, 4 countries represented here. So that's cool. In this small group, we're mighty in spread. And normally we have friends from New Zealand with us, but it's 7 a.m. on a Sunday, and it was just a little bit too brutal. And as I said earlier in the day, a lot of the themes for our Solidarity Summits is wellness. and the need to like support each other and take care of ourselves and take care of each other and encourage each other to rest when we need it, and also get some food. So yeah, everyone here, feel free to help yourselves to food. Everyone where you are, feel free to just take a break or whatever you would like to do. And we will, Kate, how about in about 5 minutes we hear from Hull? Or actually maybe 10 minutes so people can get food and sit down, and it'll be like dinner and a movie. If that's cool. All right. I should have brought music to put on, but I didn't.